Prices at the grocery store, on your rent notice, at the gas pump, even on a basic night out, all seem to have climbed at the same time. It feels like the world quietly agreed that everything should cost more, without really telling you why. You might hear people say, "It's just inflation." But that word can feel vague and unhelpful when you are the one watching your money disappear. So let's break down, in plain English, what inflation actually is, why it's been so intense lately, and why it feels like your whole life suddenly got more expensive all at once. At its simplest, inflation just means this: the average price of the things people buy is going up over time. Not one item here or there, but the overall cost of living drifting higher. Instead of thinking about it as things getting more expensive, it can help to think of it as your money quietly losing strength. A dollar today simply doesn't buy what a dollar did a few years ago. If prices rise 10%, but your income stays the same, it's like your paycheck has been cut without your boss ever changing the number on it. That gap between what you earn and what things cost is exactly where that everything is so expensive feeling comes from. A big part of what you are feeling starts with the basics that are hardest to avoid. Housing is usually at the top of that list. Whether you rent or own, shelter is swallowing a larger share of many people's income than it used to. Rents climb sharply in a lot of places, especially in cities where more people want to live than there are units available. Even if your own rent has leveled off, the background costs behind housing, property taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, have all crept higher, and landlords usually pass some of that along. If you are trying to buy a home, higher prices plus higher interest rates mean that the monthly payment on the same type of house is much steeper than it was just a few years ago. None of that feels like an abstract economic theory when it is your rent check that keeps getting bigger. Food is another area where inflation hits you right in the face, because you see those price tags every single week. During the last few years, everything from extreme weather to higher transportation costs to global disruptions has pushed food prices up. When fuel, fertilizer, packaging, and shipping all become more expensive, that extra cost eventually lands in your shopping cart. On top of that, a lot of people have noticed shrinkflation, packages looking the same on the outside, but holding less on the inside. So even when the sticker price doesn't jump, you might still be paying more per ounce or per serving, which makes it feel like the bill is exploding even when you think you bought the same things. Transportation and energy costs have also added to that squeezed feeling. When gas prices spike, it is not just filling your own tank that gets pricier. Almost everything you buy has to be moved from where it is produced to where you live. Higher fuel costs ripple through the whole economy and show up in places you would not expect, from groceries to online deliveries. Even when energy prices come back down a bit, companies do not always rush to cut prices again, especially if customers have already become used to paying more. That stickiness is one reason inflation can linger even after the original shock has faded. Before we go deeper, if having this broken down in normal, everyday language is helping you make sense of what you are seeing in your own life, this is exactly what we do on this channel. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe so you do not miss the next breakdown. It also tells YouTube that clear, honest money content is worth showing to more people, instead of burying it under clickbait. Now let's get back to why everything around you feels more expensive. Another piece of the puzzle is wages and how fast they change compared to prices. In some jobs, pay has gone up over the last few years, and that sounds like good news at first. But if your pay went up 3%, while your rent, groceries, and other essentials jumped 8%, you are still worse off in practical terms. Economists call this the difference between nominal wages, which is just the number on your paycheck, and real wages, which is how much that money can actually buy. If prices climb faster than your pay, you can feel like you are running uphill even though technically you are earning more than you used to. Businesses themselves are also making choices that affect how expensive life feels. When their own costs go up, whether that is wages, materials, shipping, or borrowing, they face a decision: raise prices, cut costs somewhere else, accept lower profits, or some mix of all three. In some industries, companies have taken the opportunity to raise prices more than their costs went up, protecting or even increasing their profits. When a whole sector does that, it can lock in a higher price level long after the original shock, and to you, it just feels like yet another bill that never went back down. Government policy and global events mix into this stew as well. When interest rates are low and there is a lot of cheap money floating around, people and businesses tend to borrow and spend more, which can push prices higher. When interest rates rise to fight inflation, borrowing gets more expensive, which can cool down price increases, but it also makes it harder to afford things like car loans, credit card balances, and mortgages. Add in things like trade tensions, tariffs, wars, and supply chain disruptions, and you have a world where it is easier for prices to spike and harder for them to settle back to where they were. On top of all of this, there is a psychological side that makes it feel even worse. You notice price increases much more than you notice the rare price cut. You remember when a certain item cost a specific amount, and every time you see it higher, it stings. Social media adds another layer, because you are constantly shown people who seem to be living comfortably, traveling, renovating, and buying without worry. When you compare that image to your own rising bills, it can feel like you are uniquely failing, even though millions of people are dealing with the exact same pressures. Understanding what inflation really is does not magically make your bills smaller, but it does give you context and power. Instead of thinking, I must be terrible with money because I cannot keep up, you can recognize that you are living through a period where housing, food, and basic services have all outpaced typical incomes. From there, you can make smarter choices, like paying closer attention to unit prices at the store, renegotiating bills, avoiding lifestyle creep when possible, and focusing on ways to increase your income faster than your personal inflation rate. These are not easy switches, but they are real levers you can actually pull. If this plain English breakdown helped you see your situation more clearly, do not just click away and forget it. Hit subscribe so you catch the next video where we talk about practical steps to protect yourself when prices keep climbing. And if you want to go deeper right now, watch the video on screen about what is really pushing your grocery bill so high. Understanding what is happening to your money is the first step toward taking back control of it.